hold on. And 3, 2, 1.
It's Danny and Fred. They have a Crip Trip podcast.
This podcast contains strong language and adult themes that may not be suitable for all audiences. Danny and I are in Edmonton chatting over Zoom with our guest Robert Andy Coombs, who's in coastal Alabama.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crip Trip podcast. Today we have with us prolific photographer Robert Andy Coombs, who we met up with in Chicago.
Under very crazy circumstances. They were very difficult, but we managed. We were meeting you no matter what. The RV broke down. Danny didn't have his power chair. It was 11 at night, and it was a weird bar, but you know what? We made it happen.
Yeah. And we're moderately less strung out now. So thank you for making the time to meet up with us today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So today I kind of wanted to facilitate a little bit of a conversation around, disability and intimacy. And I thought who better than Robert, who's artwork bleeds with both those things.
Can I just start this off by just asking, could you give us a little bit of background of how you got into photography in the first place, and just a bit of that sort of career background?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I was always a creative kid. I was always making something, painting. Wasn't good at drawing, but like finding like wood chips and acorns and little leaves and like making little sculptures for my grandma or my mom, or I was just always making something. And in middle school, I had asked for a digital camera, and my parents got me one. And I started just like kind of going on different walkabouts in the woods, as one does when you live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So I didn't really know like compositionally like what I was doing or anything like that. I just knew it kind of looked good.
Yeah.
And then I started photographing like parties and friends in high school. And I decided to go against vocal performance. I really loved singing and being on stage, and loved acting. So like musical theater and plays and stuff like that. And then my senior year, when I like decided against it, I took like multimedia classes, which was like digital photography and video and learning Photoshop and all that stuff. And my art teacher, she just kind of told me like, if you want to be serious about this, you need like 10 pieces for a portfolio. And yeah, she just kind of told me what I needed to do. So I did it and presented it at our end of the year art show, and ended up getting a scholarship to Kendall College of Art and Design in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Nice.
So, and then I went for graphic design for the first 2 years. That was my major, but then I took a minor in photography in my second year, and then I switched to photo my third year, and that's where I really like fell in love with the medium, because I was doing like large format color darkroom. So like, 4x5, along with like being able to print my own color prints. Cause I'm not a big black and white kind of guy. I see in color, and I love, incorporating color and the vibrancy of it. So yeah, that's where I fell in love with photography, or how I got into it.
Yeah. And yeah, like black and white was very much a pragmatic choice on the road for us, right? Like,
because we could process it.
Yeah, developing on the road, it's already dirty and cross-contaminated. Like we're already
We couldn't have done color. Not possible.
we did not have the shelf space. But yeah, I agree. Like I love those warm tones, and you know when color really hits, it adds something beautiful.
Can you, and just for people watching this that maybe don't know your full career, can you walk through just a little bit of what your practice has been in the last, 5-10 years, and what and some of your achievements?
Yeah, absolutely. In my third year of college, just after I turned in like my final portfolio, I was a gymnast training a double backflip on a trampoline, and ended up like falling 10 feet onto the back of my neck. So I instantly knew I was paralyzed, and like I was awake the whole time, which was really interesting. Didn't There was no pain, and it was just like a beautiful Michigan spring day. The sun was shining, birds were chirping, and I broke my neck. So once I got out of the ICU and into rehab, I quickly learned during the independent living classes, because they like teach you about your new body basically, and how it works, and different things of how to take care of yourself. And so the topic of sex came up, as it does. And I quickly realized that my medical professionals were just ill-equipped to talk about sex as a single gay man. So I had all these questions, and they did not get answered, to say the least. And so I spent a year at home with my parents, and then decided to go back to school for photography, and went back to Kendall. And that's kind of where I like submersed myself in the dating scene, and it was a lot of like trial and error, trying to figure out my body sexually. And so I scoured the internet, basically looking for any representation of disability and sexuality, and specifically when it comes to like gay sex. And yeah, just had to do a lot of my research, and found that there was like little to no representation of disability and sexuality. So I like right then and there, I was like, I'm like literally sitting on a gold mine of uh, subject matter. So yeah, for the past like 10 or so years, I graduated in 2013, and didn't really photograph for about 5 years. And then when I was applying to grad school, I started making my work Crip fag, which takes two derogatory terms, crippled and faggot, and combines them together and uses it, and just kind of subvert it and use it as like a term of power. And yeah, I got accepted into a few different schools, but I got accepted to my dream school, which is Yale University. They have like one of the best like art programs and photography programs. And then I graduated in 2020, so it was a 2-year program. And yeah, I've got a few awards under my belt, a few solo shows, and I got some like exciting things coming up, which is great. So
I when you were first interacting with the intimate portions of your creative pursuit, did that precede or follow you starting to become intimate after acquiring a disability? Like did the art help you get more comfortable in your own skin?
I've always had like a really good relationship with how I looked and my body. Um, I was always a really confident person, and that definitely did not change after I broke my neck. I still love the way I look, and yeah, I've always had a really good positive like body image. Um, I don't know why it didn't change, but I'm just like I still look
'Cause you're a
fucking hot. So
badass.
and so like I knew that I like would be able to push myself as far as like subject matter, rather than trying to find someone for a particular image that I wanted to do. Just because like I'm pretty open sexually, and I'm kind of willing to put myself out there
Mhm.
rather than kind of just use someone else, I guess. I like when I'd rather like inspire the next generation to like people wanting me to photograph them
Mm.
in a more boudoir or like sexual way. So I thought, like I'll do it first,
Yeah.
and then they will come. So
Well, and yeah, that's one way to inspire that vulnerability. And that's something that's always intrigued me about your work is I'm like, how does he, broach people coming into these like very vulnerable situations where, it's overtly sexual. Like what's that conversation like? How do you typically find people to
well, when I was applying to grad school and like just beginning the work, living in Michigan, I really had to do a lot of like self portraits with
Mhm.
no one in them. So it was a lot of like isolated photographs of me like working through, yeah, just kind of like that body image, what it looks like for me to be out of my wheelchair. Um, and kind of playing with that notion of wheelchair bound. Like I'm
Yeah.
not bound to my wheelchair. It's like an extension of my body. Like I'm so grateful
Yeah.
for my wheelchair because I wouldn't be able to do anything or go anywhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of like a lot of technology that I incorporate in my daily life. Different surgeries I've had to like uh, adapt myself to kind of become more independent and more the word is kind of like just yeah to adapt and kind of make myself a little bit more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can I ask about the sort of technology and the physical side of doing the photography? Because with Danny, we did a whole bunch of photography with like really old, out of date equipment, and it was pretty challenging because Danny's like, rewind it like this, do it like that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't have the experience, the tactile experience to do these things. It was quite the learning curve, And so, in your practice, how do those partnerships work? How do those teams work to get such award winning stuff? How do you do it?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, it takes a village. I feel like any artist kind of has their own creative group, and especially like commercial artists, like um, you know, a lot of like you think of Andy Warhol, like he had a whole factory of people like making his artwork, and then he would like put the finishing touches
Mm-hmm.
on it. And like that still goes on today. Like there are painters with a lot of like painter assistants who like will do a majority of the work, and then
Jeff Koons.
there's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then there's that joke that that the artist comes in and ruins all of the assistant's work. And like that's no different than like a photographer. Like, people, like one of my professors at Yale, Gregor Crutzen, he has lighting assistants, he has photo assistants, like so it's all of these, large uh it I don't necessarily have like large photo shoots, but not yet anyway. But Yeah, I started working with assistant, like friends and photo assistants when I was in school. Other um, other students were able to get paid to be like
Yeah.
one of my assistants, so that was really cool. And I always kind of worked creatively with friends beforehand, so I've taken a lot of self portraits previously to my accident, and I always had friends. So I mean, it kind of just came naturally with what I wanted to do. So yeah, it just I take a very directorial role when it comes to my photo shoots. Specific, especially like when I'm in the photo, like modeling, and yeah, just kind of doing it all. But I also, like work with mounting a camera on my wheelchair and yeah, um
Well, and
like
you
actually like photographing myself. So
and you still use a lot of analog too, right?
yeah, I mean, for certain things, I've tried digital for like my street photography, and I just found myself like just clicking
Hmm.
everything, and then it's like I don't know, I'm not. I'd rather wait for the right moment and like, just kind of hoping that I get it.
Yeah.
And then once I get the film back, then I'm like, oh yeah, like that turned out great.
Yeah.
Rather than just like photographing a ton of like hundreds and hundreds of pictures and then having to like
Sort through.
choose one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
I like the Polaroid. That was cool when you pulled out a Polaroid and we put those Polaroids up in the RV. That was haven't used Polaroid in 20 years. Very cool.
yeah, how did they turn out?
Great.
I didn't get
Good.
to see them after they like fully developed, so
Yeah,
I'll
no,
have to scan some
they're a part of the living artwork that is
VR.
the RV.
yeah.
We ended up putting up a lot of our artwork just using like IKEA lights on the outside, and then what was the tape? It's like some really tough tape that we just like,
we
mounted on board.
Oh yeah,
And then we put it
reverse sided mounting tape, and we mounted all of our photos on mounting board, and then mounted them all on the outside of the RV, and then we screwed in IKEA little spotlights above them all, and like I think we did a pretty darn good job at making like this, turn the RV into like a multimedia exhibit with a wheelchair on top.
Yeah.
With string lights all running into our like internal generator. Like it was a little
The public could walk
experience.
through and
Yeah.
see where you develop the photos. It was neat.
Yeah.
And where was that again?
So we
Where did
pulled
you
up
do-
on a really busy
Yeah.
street in Toronto is what we
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
yeah.
by the end of it we were looking for gallery, but the thing is galleries and doc kind of work on separate timelines. Whereas galleries are like, we're booked 2 years in advance, and doc is like, you
Yeah.
have 3 months to make us a thing. And you're like, okay, I guess the pre-production starts now.
Yeah.
So the differing time scales really kind of threw a wrench in the works, but we ended up with a really cool kind of mobile exhibit.
Yeah, and I think it worked for our intentions.
Yeah.
Doing something rogue in public like that was very in line with our attitudes.
And we got very like a lot of traffic despite it being like a long weekend Monday.
Oh, nice.
Like we got quite a lot of foot traffic. So
I'm assuming you took pictures of that, right?
oh yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
be in the documentary, which we'll send you. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
We've got a little bit of archival here and there, and we'll take freeze frames from
Yeah.
the doc as well. And yeah, that's all going in my portfolio. And
That's awesome.
yeah,
So what has the response to your work been? What do people say when they encounter it?
I mean, overall, I would say it's pretty positive. I do get a few raised eyebrows depending on if it's a group show or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it varies. It depends on the show because, I don't particularly want my work to be seen by kids, obviously, because it's not
Yeah.
for them. So yeah, it just depends like in the show that I'm in, I guess. If it's more family friendly, then it it's I have to kind of choose, which images well, I mean it's also up to the curator too,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but um but yeah, I feel like I haven't really got too much like negative press. I mean, everyone has a comment online, and it's kind of fun to read those. But after a while, it's just they say the same things, and it's like, okay, if all you see is sex in my photographs, then you're missing the whole point.
Yeah, you're not looking
So
at them hard enough for sure. There's so much compositionally and the lighting and the tone, right? Like there's so much to unpack in your work, and that's what I really enjoy about it. Do you
and like
notice?
it's just like a lot of the subject matter, like nobody's seen it before,
Yeah.
unless you live the experience.
Well, yeah. And yeah, that novelty really draws people in. Have you noticed any differences in how able-bodied people look at it versus how disabled people look at it?
Well, yeah, like I would say the majority of like able-bodied people definitely are a little like surprised, I would say. They really have to work hard at kind of dealing with what is going on in the photographs. So I would say a lot of people learn a lot,
Yeah.
and as far as disabled people, it's I've had like a lot of people reach out to me and they're just like, thank you so much for creating this work. It's something that I haven't seen, but now I feel seen. I feel uh that and it usually gives them more self-confidence, like to see that I just like don't give a fuck.
Well, and
And
that's the power of representation, right? Is seeing yourself
yeah,
modeled in situations that you might not have otherwise thought possible, which when you look at society's general apprehension towards disability and sex, like you said, you weren't able to find anything going on the internet way back, and it's it does give you permission
So here's a bit of
as a disabled
a
person.
different question. Like fetishists and stuff. Do you ever find you get a response to your work from what are the names?
Devotees, I
Devotees.
guess. Yeah.
yeah, but it's my work is too intimate for them. Because it breaks it because it like I'm not being objectified. You know what I mean? Like I'm confronting the viewer, and I'm very intentional because of the way devotees like treat their fetish, because it's solely about function.
And the struggle, yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen that a lot.
whether they want you to like move your arms, or like the struggle porn type stuff, or like do something that they know you can't do, and they get off on that. Otherwise it's they love like the wheelchair or spasms, or like medical fetish. So it's like I use all of these things, but then I also like tend to like I look deliberately like into the camera to like let them know like I know you're fucking looking at me. And that goes with like, every viewer that views me. It's like, why are you looking at me? Like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Well, and there's something
But also like,
liberatory about it being used to enable your pleasure, right? Like it's not necessarily for the viewer. You're just giving them a look at what's going on behind the scenes, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So fundamentally, the priority is still,
But also
your
like
pleasure.
I want them to look, and I like the images were also like made so that I could get laid.
Mhm.
Because like seeing
Proof of concept.
Pitch video.
exactly, it's instead of just talking about it, like people get to visually see what it entails. And I think that like helps people realize like, oh yeah, like you can fuck and you should fuck and it's really hot.
Yeah.
So
You're doing God's work. Putting it
I'm
out
just
there.
trying to get other disabled people laid.
There you
So,
go. That's as good a cause as any.
Well, it's interesting because I don't think I really got photography until we took that one photo that we showed you. That was us in like, shower time, which, I mean, it wasn't really about sexuality. It was more, I think, about intimacy and vulnerability and just a snapshot of what we'd been going through. And I was kind of poo-pooing the photography until that photo came out, and it was like, oh, damn it. Like,
There's something here.
there's something here. That is a good photo. We took a good photo, and it's so much truth and story involved in it. And I didn't know we were walking into that. I was just kind of like, oh, who cares? Photography's dead. Everybody's got a camera in their phone. It's the most ubiquitous thing. I mean, now through living this process of like, and maybe it's because it's different in that we're a team creating this art. I felt very connected to what, it wasn't just you. It was like a team thing that now I realize like, yeah, all that ubiquitous photography is crap.
Yeah,
It takes,
when there's intention, it shows you. And that was something
Yeah.
interesting for me watching you kind of grow as an artist, was watching you come up with concepts of like, I want to get this photo because I think it would be cool. And then we shoot it on 35. And then you're like, well, let's expand this concept and do it on medium format. And I'm like, it got you, fucker.
it's interesting to have lived that process. I feel like I know so much more about photography now through going on a photography road trip. And I don't think if we'd been using our cell phones to take a million photos, I wouldn't have learned anything. But through this, I did learn. And
it's sometimes it's this ineffable quality that a certain photo has where you're like, there's something here that's letting me take it to the next level. And then like you were trying to pour over like, what about this particular shower photograph, was bringing it to that next level of giving the audience something to chew on, right? And letting them kind of come up with their own narratives about what's happening in the photo.
but we knew we were going to meet
Robert.
Robert, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, the photo is like two naked dudes in a shower together, and like I think you inspired us, like and that's what it was. That was the moment, the aha moment for me.
yeah. And like also when I was making the work, like no one would hire me. Like I knew everyone in the art community in Grand Rapids, and like, like telling me how wonderful I am and how good I am at what I do, but they can't employ me because I'm disabled. Like, so I was just like, when I started making the work, I was like, no one's gonna fucking hire me anyway, so I might as well just make the work that I want to make.
Yeah.
So the images that I want to see in the world. So
would you say that constituted your aha moment of like, I'm in the right
yeah.
stream?
Yeah.
So
then, and it can make people upset, which is always good artwork.
we love
So
we love
because
making
if they're
people
not
think about
talking,
why they're
if no one's
angry.
talking about your work, like it's not good. So
But like, so you've mentioned that no one in Grand Rapids would hire you because you're disabled, right? You're a prolific photographer, and now you're still having like employment barriers. What's the kind of current state of the art industry for people with disabilities?
I think my problems mostly come with the state. I essentially, if I get a full-time job, I have to pay. I'm not only working for my salary, I have to pay for someone else's salary
Yeah.
out of my own money. And care, as you know, is extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Especially if you want good quality care.
Yeah.
So yeah, like having to pay for someone else's salary is really hard to do. And that's hard with, parents with two incomes, like looking for childcare so they can both work. But, it's the same thing. Except I don't have kids. It's just I have myself. So I think that's mainly what, like the issues I'm dealing with right now is like, I tried working, but now, I'm fighting with Social Security. So they're like, oh, so you can work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I can't make enough. And it just like, I don't know.
No, that is
So-
the fundamental absurdity of like requiring care work.
Yeah.
Is the minute you start getting ahead, they do everything in their power to claw it back so that you're starting in square one. I call it like the vortex of poverty, right? Where
it's a paradox. Like,
the escape velocity that you need is like, I need to be a billionaire, right? Because where am I going to
Literally.
get, $100,000 to pay for a care worker? But the fundamental absurdity is when we're working, we're contributing taxpayers, right? And then you're creating more jobs by hiring someone to work with you so that you can maintain a level of independence. And it's better for everyone in the end, right? We all know that it's cheaper to just give people the help they need rather than, put them in disastrous circumstances that their health deteriorates over time and then they're
More
costing
expensive.
more.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
how do we wake people up to this, and that's what a lot of my projects are
Well,
are
doing
surrounding.
what we're doing right now
Yeah.
and keep doing it.
yeah. Yeah. So, but as far as like the art world, I mean, I think the pandemic really kind of fucked everything up and just like, because so much of that, like, we're still recovering with the economy from the pandemic, like politicians, whatever, but like that's what it's stemming from. And like, we're all the rich people are like not wanting to buy artwork right now because, everything's so expensive. And so I don't know. It's just like no one's buying anything right now. And I don't know, like when it comes to photography, no one wants to pay for it. Kind of like other art, like graphic design, no one wants to pay for that. Like, and so it's really frustrating. Like, yeah, just trying to be employed, trying to like be a fine artist. It's hard. And it's like, I want to like make books and sell them or, make t-shirts, like merchandise, like I want to do all these things. It's just like financially, if I can't,
You can't just pick up your
make
camera and
enough.
go outside, right? Like you need to pay
Right.
for assistance and you need to pay for
Yeah.
potentially
And like
models
once
and all
again,
that stuff.
if you make any money, like it's used against you.
Well,
So it's just
like gun to your head in America where they're like, you have $2,000 in assets, therefore you do not need care work anymore. And it's just like draconian punishments.
and it's like, my mortgage payment is fucking
Yeah.
almost $2,000 a month.
You still
So it's
have
like,
all the regular cost of living expenses that an able-bodied person has, but now, to even function to like make a meal, you're needing to pay $100,000 in extra
Yep.
additional costs. Like,
We
it's
should
absurd.
do a Crip Trip OnlyFans.
Just all of our participants, and I wonder how much my feet pics would sell for. Robert, any takers?
Wait, what?
Do
probably
we know
a
what the
lot.
going rate is for?
For your feet pics.
Sorry, you made me think there for a second. Robert, thank you so much for meeting with us in Chicago and for meeting us again now. Your work's been an inspiration and in many ways, very important to our story and a real source of inspiration along that journey. So thank you.
Where can people find you on Instagram or your website?
Just Google Robert Andy Coombs and it'll take you everywhere you need to go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love
Just
a short
Google me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Watch on AMI-TV or stream for free on AMI+.
TVO, Media Education Group. Catapult Pictures. Looking for more Crip Trip? Stream the series now on AMI+.